The world is in chaos, but you haven't seen its darkest side.
Hello folks, and welcome back to Mr. Mask channel. I'm your host, and today we're diving into a topic that's straight out of a sci-fi blockbuster, the Golden Dome Missile Defense Shield. Buckle up, because we're going to unpack what this is, why it's sparking debate, and whether it's worth the massive price tag. Let's get started. Now, ballistic missile defense isn't exactly new. Way back in 1983, President Ronald Reagan rolled out the Strategic Defense Initiative, or SDI, nicknamed the Star Wars program. The idea? Build a high-tech shield to zap intercontinental ballistic missiles, the ones with nuclear warheads, right out of the sky. Sounds cool, right? But here's the catch. It was deemed too futuristic, too pie in the sky, and after the Cold War wrapped up, SDI was shelved in 1993, done and dusted. Fast forward to today, and the Golden Dome is the Trump administration's shiny new take on this concept. Picture this, a state-of-the-art, made-in-the-USA missile defense shield to protect the homeland from all kinds of threats, ICBMs, hypersonic gliders, you name it. Trump's calling on Congress to fund this bad boy, but here's where the questions pile up. How's it gonna work? When will it be ready? How much is it gonna cost? And most importantly, is it even worth it? Let's break it down. So, what's the plan for this Golden Dome? It's all about space, baby. The idea is to park satellites in orbit to intercept enemy missiles during their boost phase. That's when they're zooming straight out of the atmosphere, most vulnerable, before they spit out warheads or hypersonic gliders. Think of it like catching a rocket before it gets tricky. This isn't a new playbook either. It borrows heavily from Reagan's SDI, with concepts like brilliant pebbles, tiny satellites with heat-seeking missiles, and space-based lasers. Yeah, lasers. Pew pew. Back in the 80s, lasers were the hot ticket, but the tech just wasn't there. Chemical-based lasers had beam quality issues. Think blurry flashlight instead of pinpoint precision. Fast forward 40 years, and today's fiber-based lasers are 10 to 100 times sharper, with better mirrors and tech that might just make this dream a reality. So, the Pentagon's likely eyeing a combo. Lasers for high-flying ICBMs in space, and physical interceptors for smaller missiles in the upper atmosphere, where laser beams get a bit wonky. But here's the rub, folks. This is going to be expensive. Like sell your yacht and maybe your private island expensive. And it's not just about building one system. Fielding both lasers and interceptors could break the bank. So, is the tech there to track missiles? Absolutely. Can we intercept them? Probably. But can we do it affordably and effectively enough to make it count? That's the million-dollar question. Or more like the billion-dollar question. Let's take a quick trip down memory lane to see what history can teach us. The SDI in the 80s was a wild ride. They tossed around some out-there ideas like Project Excalibur. Get this, a nuclear bomb in orbit, surrounded by laser assemblies. When an enemy missile popped up, the bomb would detonate, powering X-ray lasers to blast multiple targets. Sounds like a Michael Bay movie, right? But it flopped. Focusing those beams was a nightmare, and the Soviets could have just mirrored the tactic. Then there was Brilliant Pebbles, the frontrunner. Picture hundreds, maybe thousands of small satellites hovering over potential launch sites, each packing a 3-foot missile with a heat-seeking sensor. When ICBM launches, the missile tracks it, boom, intercepted. It got a contract in 1991, but costs skyrocketed. The missiles got bigger, and by 1993, with the Soviet Union gone, the whole thing was scrapped. Oh, and the price tag? Estimates ballooned from $40 billion to over $100 billion in 80s dollars. That's like $250 billion today, without even going operational. So, what's changed since then? Honestly, not a whole lot. Trump's Golden Dome is a bold vision, but it's got echoes of SDI's ambition and its pitfalls. He's compared it to Israel's Iron Dome, but that's like comparing a bicycle to a spaceship. Iron Dome uses ground-based interceptors to swat slow, non-maneuvering rockets. The Golden Dome? It's aiming for a global orbit-based shield to tackle everything from small ballistic missiles to nuclear-tipped ICBMs. Big difference. The good news? Tracking tech has come a long way. Satellites like the Overhead Persistent IR and hypersonic and ballistic tracking space sensors are already in the works, with launches planned soon. These babies can spot ICBMs, smaller missiles, even hypersonic gliders zipping along at Mach 10. The Space Development Agency is building a massive network. Think 150 missile tracking satellites, plus hundreds of data relay satellites. Add in plans for in-space refueling, and you've got a surveillance system that's tough to hide from. But here's the problem. Current ground-based systems like GBI, SM-3, THAAD, and Patriot have limited range. They're great for specific threats, like protecting the US from North Korea or ships near China, but they can't cover the whole globe. Plus, intercepting missiles in their terminal phase is tricky. They're dodging, weaving, and tossing out decoys. The Golden Dome wants to hit them early, in the boost phase, with a satellite network that's always watching. Sounds great, but let's talk money, folks, because this is where things get dicey. Trump's thrown out a $175 billion price tag for the Golden Dome, but estimates are all over the map. The Missile Defense Agency has already spent $320 billion, inflation adjusted, on missile defense since 1994. A 2017 study pegged a minimal space-based interceptor system at $90 to $140 billion. Another report from 2010 said a few thousand interceptors could cost $440 billion, and that's with limited capability. The Congressional Budget Office recently estimated $540 billion over 20 years to set up and sustain a national shield. Yikes. And that's just the start. Launching thousands of satellites is cheaper now thanks to folks like SpaceX, but maintaining them? Replacing ones that decay in low orbits? Developing lasers or interceptors? That's billions more per year. Expert Jeffrey Lewis estimates $30 to $140 billion to set up a constellation, plus $6 to $35 billion annually to keep it running. And that might not even include development or tracking satellites. Oh, and don't forget, the enemy gets a vote. China or Russia could just build more missiles, which might be cheaper than our interceptors. They could attack our satellites with space-based weapons or overwhelm the shield with massed launches from mobile platforms. Changing satellite orbits to counter that? Slow, costly, and fuel-intensive. Space lasers might help, but their price tag could be, well, astronomical. Now, Trump's promised a near 100% interception rate by 2029. Folks, I'm gonna level with you. That's wildly optimistic. Even a 90% success rate, which would be amazing, means in a full-scale nuclear exchange, 20% of enemy warheads could slip through. That's 600 warheads hitting US cities. 600. Is that worth the investment? Maybe the money's better spent on other defenses, diplomacy, or heck, healthcare. Speaking of budgets, the new administration's already slashing programs to save cash. Goodbye M10 light tank, see you later, E-7 AWACS, and the Navy's next-gen fighter? Delayed. If the Golden Dome is eating up those funds, we gotta ask, is this the right call? History shows that leaning too hard on defense, like the Maginot Line or dare I say SDI, can leave you vulnerable. With China closing the tech and industrial gap, betting billions on one defensive card feels risky. So there you have it, folks, the Golden Dome Missile Defense Shield. It's a bold, futuristic plan to protect the US from missiles of all kinds, but it comes with a hefty price tag, big risks, and no guarantee of success. Will it be a game changer or another SDI-style misfire? Only time will tell. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.